Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidil Mursaleen wa al-aqibatu lil muttaqeen amma ba'd fa a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli Allahumma zidna imanan wa yaqinan wa fiqha ربنا زدنا علما اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى Ameen. So inshallah we'll begin with Surah Hud today, which is number 12, and then go on to Surah Yusuf inshallah. It's good to do one story in one day because it'll be a continuation, but I know that naturally it goes over to just 13 Surah Yusuf. So we'll see as much as we can do inshallah. We'll continue. However, with the Dawra Quran, I guess you guys can see too that there are times that I'm reading a little faster, right? It's because there's a time constraint when it comes to Dawra Quran, right? And there's a reason you're finishing. Yes, some people would say, okay, boy, there's no need to finish the Quran, just do a little bit and understand it. That's true, that's fine too, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's another flavor to Dawra Quran. You will see it more as we approach the end. When you would have read the entire Quran from the beginning to the end, there's a flavor you will get. There's an understanding you will get, inshallah, right? So naturally, I know I'm not going to a lot of details. We can go into a lot of details, but with Quran, subhanallah, it's an ocean. It's an infinite ocean. There is no end to it. We can do the tafsir of 1 hour for one ayah. We can do it for 2 hours. We can do it for 3 hours. There's no limit to Quran, subhanallah. That's how it is, right? So we have to measure and limit ourselves in some way. So for the purpose of Ramadan, mostly, for the purpose of Dawra Quran, we go over some things. We go over the important things a little bit, leave some, go over some, right? So I'll be going faster. The point I'm trying to make is there's a time constraint. So if I just said, inshallah, we'll dedicate 2 hours and 15 minutes to it, then I have to give 2 hours and 15 minutes. I can't do 2 hours. Then I won't be able to finish it. Okay, so we got to start on time. So we're starting at 12:10. That means I should be finishing at 12:25, right? And that's more difficult. It's better to start early and finish earlier, because actually towards the end I'm getting tired. I'm sure you guys are getting tired because you're just sitting and listening, right? It's tiring, of course. So it's better if we start right on time, inshallah, and just finish right on time. And I'll try to. I'm kind of late too for the past 2 days. I know, the kids are, I'm taking care of them, so I need to work on that too, inshallah. But even if I have one person, I can at least start at 12 o'clock, inshallah. So let's try, whoever can, but don't leave it on the other person. Maybe that person will come at 12 o'clock. We should try, inshallah, ourselves. Then I will be that person, inshallah, so that you can have the reward, inshallah, for everybody. Okay, Surah Hud. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Ra. كتاب أحكمت آياته ثم فصلت من لدن حكيم خبير. Alif Lam Ra. This is a book whose verses are perfected and then presented in detail from one who is wise and aware. So Allah is talking about the ayahs of the book, the verses of the book, and that they're perfect. So they're perfect in all the ways we can think of. Linguistically, they're perfect. Factually, they're perfect, right? And then Allah says that they're presented in detail, right? So it gives us a detail of, so there are some incidences in it. We're learning some manners, we're learning some morals, we're learning some laws. There's so much in the Quran, subhanAllah. In one book, we see some scientific facts, we see some stories, we see some laws. Right? There's a lot in the Quran that is going on, right, at the same time. So Allah is talking about the book and saying the verses are perfect and they're presented in detail from the one who is wise and aware. Through a messenger, saying, do not worship except Allah. Indeed, I am to you from him a warner and a bringer of good tidings. وَأَنِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ يُمَتِّعُكُمْ مَتَاعًا حَسَنًا إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُسَمًّى وَيُؤْتِ كُلَّ ذِي فَضْلٍ فَضْلَهُ وَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ كَبِيرٍ. And saying, seek forgiveness of your Lord and repent to him. He will let you enjoy a good provision for a specified term and give every doer of favor his favor. That is the reward. Whoever does good will get the reward. But if you turn away, then indeed I fear for you the punishment of a great day. So, of course, Rasulullah has been asked to tell us this, right? Seek forgiveness of your Lord, repent to him, it's a short life. You're going to enjoy as much as you can. It's temporary. And then whatever good you do, you'll get the reward for it, of course. But if you turn away, if you don't do any of it, repentance and doing good and all of that, then I fear for you the punishment of great day. So this ayah is removing any misconception that people may have of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam interceding for us on our behalf on the day of resurrection. Because here Rasulullah has been asked by Allah to tell everybody. This is in the Quran, right? If you don't do good, if you don't repent, then I fear for you a day of punishment, right? So yes, is he going to intercede for Muslims? Yes, he will, sure. But is that a confirmed thing that I will be one of those who will be interceded by Rasulullah? No, because right here Quran is telling him to tell people, if you don't do good, then punishment can be yours. And then of course this also tells us the importance and emphasis that is being put on seeking istighfar. Right? It said the hadith that Rasulullah used to seek istighfar more than 70 times in a day. The number 70 in the Arabic language, at times it refers to 70, the numeral 70, and at times it's referring to a lot, because it just means, you know how my first language is Urdu, and hum kehte hain na 10 baar kar diya, right? So 10 doesn't mean 10. It just means a lot. Like it happened a lot, right? Exactly like that 70 is a figure which is just saying a lot, right? So even if we take 70 as a numeral, okay, is he sought forgiveness 70 times? That's a lot, and we should try to do 70 if we can. But basically it means a lot, right? Seeking forgiveness a lot. Ilallahi marji'akum wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. To Allah is your return, and He is over all things competent. Unquestionably they, that is the disbelievers, turn away their breasts to hide themselves from Him. Unquestionably, even when they cover themselves in their clothing, He, that is Allah, knows what they conceal and what they declare. Indeed, He is the knowing of that within their breast. And there is no creature on earth but that upon Allah is its provision. So, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. There is no creature on this earth. So imagine all the creatures on this earth. Humans, jinns, insects, animals, birds, whatever, or sea animals, whatever we can imagine. And Allah is saying that it's upon Allah, its provision. So rizq is in Allah's hands. It will come to everybody. It will come to everybody, right? So if we can just let ourselves know this, confirm it with our husbands as well, and share it, it's gonna come. Yes, we have to work for it. Sure, that's this lifestyle. That's this life process. Right, that we have to work at whatever we are working at, right? But it will come to us, right? Subhanallah. And there's no, sometimes, people who may not be as highly educated, but they're making a lot of money. And there's sometimes they're like educated people who are really educated, but they're not making a lot of money, right? So sometimes in the world that we are living in, we think that education is the thing that brings money, right? Sure, education is important. We should be educated, right? Nobody's saying that's not important. But still, that's not the thing that will bring risk. Because we see many other examples, right? That uneducated people are making money and educated people are not. Right? Our last president, Obama, was he a very educated man? He was an educated man. Is Trump a very educated man as much as Obama? He's not. Both are presidents of America. Right? So we see the example. Right? Or look at any other country. I don't know, I'm from Pakistan, I know about Pakistan. There have been leaders who were educated, and there were leaders who were not educated at all. Right? So leadership and these things, they come. And He knows its place of dwelling and place of storage. All is in a clear register. And it is He who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and His throne had been upon water, that He might test you as to which of you is best indeed. But if you say, indeed you are resurrected after death, those who disbelieve will surely say, this is naught but obvious magic. And if we hold back from them the punishment for a limited time, they will surely say, what detains it? Unquestionably on the day it comes to them, it will not be averted from them, and they will be enveloped by what they used to ridicule. And this has been the statement given by a lot of people who don't believe in the hereafter. Bring it. Right? The disbelievers of the past, they said it. Even in today's time, people who don't believe in resurrection, I don't know if you ever met people who really don't believe in resurrection, they say the same thing, that bring it, when will it come? What's the proof? Right? And really, like we discussed yesterday, is there a proof? Is there any proof that resurrection is going to come? Right? It's just knowing Allah, knowing the system, right? Knowing how life is working. All of these things tell us that there has to be an end. and end is coming. And people who are studying astrology or studying the universe, they are studying this, that the way the earth is moving, it seems as if it is coming to an end. This is the geologists, the people who are working on those sciences. They're saying that it seems as if the way the earth is rotating and how it's moving and all of that. And if you just read up some of their researches, they say the way it is, it's going towards a doom. Right? This is how it is. This is how the universe works. Right? So scientifically, these things are proven. Right? However, people who don't believe, no matter what you tell them, they're not going to believe. Right? No matter what you tell them, they won't. If we give man a taste of mercy from us and then we withdraw it from him, indeed he is despairing and ungrateful. Innahu la ya'usun kafur. Right? Some bad times are coming, and I don't know if you've met those people who are kind of negative in life. Just whatever happens to them, they're negative. Right? They're just whatever happens. You will see another person in the same situation, and the person won't be as negative. They'll be like, okay, it happens. This is life, right? Just have a realistic approach. And the other will say, every time something happens with me, and it's always bad. It's always like that in my life. And you'll see another person with the same situation, like, no, that's okay. That's life. I can take it. Right? So this is a person who's not connected with Allah. This is a person who's not connected with life. Right? Well, there's a series that I'm doing, a family life series, and we are following a book. And the writer in it writes that a successful family life is the basis of that life is that you know yourself, you know your surrounding, and you know your creator. You got to know these things. You got to know yourself. You got to know your surroundings. Where are you living? I'm not living in Bangladesh. I'm not living in Sri Lanka. I'm living in USA, right? And this is 21st century. This is not 19th century. This is 21st century. So I got to know these things. So somebody who's not aware of themselves, not aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His existence, His power, then if some bad happens in their life, then they take it very negatively. And they end up as la ya'usun kafur. La ya'us, that they're despairing. They despair, they're hopeless. Kafur is they're ungrateful. Right? It always happens to me. Right? So they're basically despairing about the future and ungrateful about the past. Whatever has happened to me, always bad. And my future, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. It has always been bad, so it will be bad. But if we give him a taste of favor after hardship has touched him, he will surely say, bad times have left me. Indeed, he is exultant and boastful. La farhan fakhur. So this is a person who is at the extremes. At one end is Ya'usun Kafur, something bad happens, is Ya'usun Kafur, and if something good happens, then he is La Farihun Fakhur. He's boastful and he's exultant. Whatever good has come to me, I'm good, because that's why it happens. He's at the extreme. He's not in the middle ground. We'll do inshallah Surah Al-Furqan, at the end of which it talks about Ibadur Rahman, the people of Rahman, where one of the qualities of people of Rahman are that they follow the golden mean between the two extremes. This person here is on two extremes, negative and positive. Like too positive, I'm good, I'm just good, that's why I have good in my life, or just totally negative if something bad happens. Whereas if we can just have a middle approach, they're like the happy medium, that no, if it's bad, it's okay, it happens, and if it's good, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me, sure. Except for those who are patient, sabaru wa amilu salihat, and they do righteous deeds, ulaika lahum maghfiratun wa ajrun kabir. Those will have forgiveness and great reward. Then would you possibly leave out some of what is revealed to you? Or is your breast constrained by it? Because they say, why has there not been sent down to him a treasure, or come with him an angel? But we are only a warner, and Allah is disposer of all things. So there were such people at the time of Rasulullah as well, and they would tell him, you're not worth it. Why would Allah choose you as a messenger? Right? Who are you? Why would you do that? Right? So Allah is saying that, it's your job is to just convey the message. They will keep on saying, although Rasulullah sallallahu known as Sadiq Amin, he had his reputation, he was coming from a good tribe, right? He's coming from a good family. It's not that he's coming from any tribe which was not well known or anything. He was well known. He had a well respected, well established reputation in his society. Yet people who don't want to believe, when people don't want to believe you, then they will just say something one after another. No matter how much you satisfy them, they will never be satisfied. It's because they don't want to believe. They don't want to know. And that is why Allah is saying, you are only a warner, and Allah is the disposer of all things. Ayah number 13 of Surah Hud. Or do they say, he invented it? Say, then bring 10 surahs like it. that have been invented and call upon for assistance, whomever you can besides Allah, if you should be truthful. And if they do not respond to you, then know that it is, that is the Quran, was revealed with the knowledge of Allah, and that there is no deity except Him. Then would you not be Muslims? من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينتها نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها وهم فيها لا يبخسون. Whoever desires the life of this world and its adornments, we fully repay them for their deeds therein, and they therein will not be deprived. Those are the ones for whom there is not in the hereafter but the fire, and lost is what they did therein, and worthless is what they used to do. So here Allah is saying, whoever wants the life of this world, they will get it. The life of this world and whatever is in it, right? But in the hereafter, it's just fire for them. Does that seem unfair? Why would they get the fire? They haven't done anything bad, right? They haven't as such disbelieved here. If you look at it, the ayah is not talking about disbelief here. It's just talking about a person whose focus is this life. But for them, Allah is saying in the next ayah that for them is fire, and whatever they have done is basically whatever they've done is worthless. They lose all of that. It's not disbelief that's mentioned here. It's not any evil deed that's mentioned here. All it's mentioned is man kana yuridul hayata dunya wa zinataha, that they have wanted, they had aimed just the life of this world. Is that a sin to want the life of this world? Right? Then why is it ending in the hellfire?
Because just indulging in worship.
Because your aim is not hereafter. This dunya and the hereafter are two commodities. They are separate. As yes, they are connected. One flows into the other. So they're not separate as such. You can say they're connected, right? But they are two separate commodities. And we have to work for both of them, right? If I want risk, I have to be educated and I have to work. And that's how risk will come to me, right? If I want hereafter, then I have to work towards it. If I just work for this dunya, will I get it? Yes, this is exactly what Allah says. You work for this dunya, you'll get it. But in the hereafter, will I get anything? No, because I didn't do anything for the hereafter, right? So dunya and akhirah are two commodities, and I have to work for both of them, right? Inshallah, with dunya I have to work, and for akhirah I have to work. That is why Allah taught me in this Quran, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. O my Lord, O our Lord, give me the good of this dunya. The first I'm asking is dunya. Why dunya is coming first? Because I'm here first.
Yeah.
My life didn't start with akhirah. My life is beginning with this dunya. If there's good in this dunya, see, if it's very, very hot in this room, would it be difficult for me to concentrate in my salah? Yes, it'll be difficult. Alhamdulillah, I'm very comfortable here right now. I can focus, I can have khushu. Right? So if my dunya is taken care of, I can do good work of deen as well. However, if Allah has put me in a situation or a condition where maybe there is no light and maybe it's too hot, can I have khushu? Sure I can. Sure I can. Even then I can have. But right now, considering how we are living and where we are, alhamdulillah, we can do things well. So I ask for goodness of this dunya, the first thing. However, the next two things are related to akhirah. I want the goodness of the akhirah, and I want to be protected from the hellfire. So if you divide this entire dua into three parts, 1, 2, 3, then 1/3 is dunya, which is coming first, but it's 1/3, and 2/3 is akhirah. So also telling me that akhirah is more important, it is more weighty, right? It has more weight, it's more important, whereas dunya comes first. So I ask for both, right? Ayah number 17 of Surah Hud. So is one who stands upon a clear evidence from his Lord and a witness from him, follows it, and before it was the scripture of Musa to lead and as a mercy. Those believers in the former revelations believe in it, that is the Quran. But whoever disbelieves in it from the various factions, the fire is his promised destination. Now here is saying, whoever disbelieves in the scripture, fire is the destination. So be not in doubt about it. Indeed, it is the truth from your Lord, but most of the people do not believe. So, have you noticed this? Which is coming at a lot of the end of the ayahs. Most of the people won't believe. Most of the people do this. And start noticing these things. Right? Start noticing. And this is one of the good things about the Quran. Start to notice the things that are repeated, that are oft repeated in the Quran. Right? And you will notice this. Most of the people won't believe. Most of the people will be ungrateful. And you will see around and maybe look at yourself. We have these characteristics. We see these traits. Do most of the people believe in this world? No, most of the people don't believe. What's the biggest religion in the world? It's Christianity. Right? And then there are many atheists, and it's growing now. Atheism and agnosticism and all these things are growing now. Most of the people don't believe. Amongst the Muslims, do we have people who are ungrateful? Most of us. Most of us are ungrateful. And Quran tells us these things. Right? So only the person who is reading the Quran will understand, oh, that's how it is. But people who start reading, start understanding, say, okay, I don't want to be one of those. Are there people, even if they're few, are there people who will be grateful and who can have positive outlook of life, who will believe in Allah, who will take life as it comes to them? Yes, sure, we can do that. And Quran helps me to do that. Quran helps me to have a strong personality, inshallah, right? To take life as it comes to me. Be positive, be strong. And who is more unjust than he who invents a lie about Allah? Those will be presented before their Lord, and the witnesses will say, these are the ones who lied against their Lord. Unquestionably, the curse of Allah is upon the wrongdoers. And we discuss about the witnesses on the day of resurrection. The messengers will be witnesses, right, against the people if they didn't listen. Right? Other people can be a witness. My own limbs will be a witness against me. Right? Everything will have lips on that day. My eyes and my ears and my head and my hands and my feet, everything will have lips on that day, and my lips will be sealed, and everything will be a witness either for me or against me. Right? So my choice right now, whether I want them to be a witness for me or against me. The curse of Allah is upon the wrongdoers. Who are those wrongdoers? These are those who averted people from the way of Allah and sought to make it seem deviant, while they, concerning the hereafter, were disbelievers. So those who disbelieve themselves in the hereafter, they make other people confused as well. What's your proof? Let's have a discussion. Right? And you tell me, you bring your points, I will bring your points. Right? And it happens with families as well. Right? So these people, is because basically the problem is that of belief. Because they don't have belief, then they want other people to be with them. Everybody wants support. Everybody in this life wants people to agree to them. Even if they're wrong, even if they know they're wrong, they want people to support. Right? This is fitrah. This is in us. This is humanity. Those were not causing failure to Allah on earth, nor did they have besides Allah any protectors. From them the punishment will be multiplied. They were not able to hear, nor did they see. Those are the ones who will have lost themselves, and lost from them is what they used to do. It's because of just one, if you can see, just one misdeed has been mentioned in these ayahs. They not believing in the hereafter. And because of which they're losing themselves, whatever they're doing is being lost, their end is hellfire. Just one thing is being put out here in all the ayahs. They don't believe in the hereafter. That's how important the concept of hereafter is. Those are the ones who will have lost themselves, and lost from them is what they used to invent. Assuredly, it is they in the hereafter who will be the greatest losers. Indeed, they who have believed and done righteous deeds and humbled themselves to their Lord, those are the companions of paradise. They will abide therein externally. مثل الفريقين كالأعمى والأصم والبصير والسميع هل يستويان مثلا أفلا تذكرون. The example of the two parties is like the blind and deaf, and the seeing and hearing. Are they equal in comparison? Then will you not remember? So look at the ayahs that we have just discussed about, the ones that are being discussed now. It is talking about somebody who prefers the life of this world. Then it talked about somebody who stands up for the evidence of Allah and then who don't. Some who believe in the scripture and then who don't. Then some say somebody's lying against Allah, somebody's not. Then they're not causing failure to Allah, from them is punishment. Then the ones who've lost themselves, they will in the hereafter, they're the greatest losers, right? I'm just overgoing what we are doing before. And then those who have believed. And then one ayah comes that talks about indeed those who have believed and done good deeds, and they humble themselves. وَأَخْبِتُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. And after all these ayahs is coming like it's a period. Right? This ayah is coming where Allah is saying the example of the two parties. What are the two parties here? Just the believers and the disbelievers. We can see from all the context of the ayahs, right? So now Allah is saying these two parties, the examples that I've given to you, all of them, these two parties, can they be equal? One is the party that is blind, right? If you just look at particularly this ayah, just don't think about what's mentioned before. Just look at this ayah. are these two parties equal? What parties? The blind and the deaf. One party that's blind and the deaf, and the other is the seeing and the hearing, right? And imagine this, the life of a person who's blind and deaf. Is that person dependent upon other people? Completely. Completely, in lots of ways. And the person who's seeing and who's hearing, does that person have unlimited potential to do what not in this life? Yes. Even if that person can study, can work, can do whatever. The blessed person who's blind and deaf is a dependent person, basically. Very different life. So the two examples that Allah is giving me, so after building up an image with a person who believes in hereafter and the person who doesn't, and then giving me this example, right? So something, an image can come into my mind and try to imagine it. Somebody who's blind and deaf and somebody who's hearing and seeing. These are the two examples. Somebody who has Quran in their life and somebody who doesn't. Somebody who has belief in their life and somebody who doesn't. Somebody who works towards hereafter, somebody who doesn't. And these are the opposites. So naturally the lifestyle, the thought process, the actions, the intentions of these two people will be different. And their end will be different. Right? So it's a good way how Allah kind of builds up the case and then give one example, which is very, very evident, clear example. The blind and the deaf, the hearing and the seeing. Can these parties be equal? They can be. That will you not take heed? أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ? Will you not remember? Will you not understand? Will you not see what's going on here with these two people? And we had certainly sent Nuh to his people. Now the stories of all the nations, the past nations, to whom messengers were sent, and those who denied, some believed, and what was their end and how all of that worked out. And it's interesting to see how the messengers are talking, giving the message, how people are responding to their message. So look at all the ayahs of the Prophet talking, and then the people responding to them. And we had certainly sent Nuh to his people, saying, indeed, I am to you a clear warner, that you do not worship except Allah. Indeed, I fear for you the punishment of a painful day. Right? So beginning with, they're saying, I am a clear warner. That's what I am. A messenger says that I am a clear warner. About what? Don't worship anybody. Right? And if you don't, then I fear for you the punishment of a painful day. Just three basic things that the messenger is telling. The eminent one among those who disbelieved from his people said, we don't see you but as a man like ourselves. You're just like me. Right? Why did Allah choose you as a messenger? And we do not see you followed except by those who were the lowest of us and at first suggestion. This is what the people of Nuh alayhi salam said. This was the same thing told to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the Meccans or the Mushrikeen of the Makkah. The same thing, right? What we see, because they used to most of the slaves of that time, because slavery it's part of the society, the Arab society, and slaves, right? Ammar, Bilal, right? These are the examples of the radiallahu anhum. They were the ones who had accepted Islam. So the leaders of Makkah used to say that the people who follow you are the poor ones, the weak ones, right? So if you're sitting in a gathering and you're talking to Bilal and Ammar, how can I sit there? How can I sit with those slaves? I am of a higher status. How can I do that? So this is not a new mentality. I know somebody else also commented the same thing, subhanallah, and I said, subhanallah. Like, we discussed this before, that the mentality of disbelief and being away from Quran, it's not very creative. It's pretty boring. They're the same. They give the same reasons. Somebody went to a certain masjid with me and they're like, what kind of people are coming in this masjid? How can you be with them? I said, subhanallah, did she read the Quran? Like, how come she's coming with the same argument that people thousands of years ago came with? Right? So sometimes we see, and it happens because people who have less dunya, they want some support. Right? They don't have the support of the dunya. People who have money, they take support from that. Right? People who have education, they take support from that. People who don't have education, who don't have money, they need some support. Quran, Islam gives them that support, and they're more inclined to it. Right? They don't have much dunya, so what would they involve themselves in? They don't have much dunya, so naturally they get inclined towards deen. It happens. Which doesn't mean that rich people cannot get inclined. That's not true. But generally this happens. Right? Sometimes the image of Islam that comes in our mind at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is just the slaves and poor people are there. No, that's not true. Umar bin Khattab was one of the leaders. Or Abu Bakr Siddiq was one of the richest men. Khadija, Ali, All these people are very rich people. Uthman, Saad bin Abi Waqqas, Musa bin Umair. These were very rich people, educated, rich. They were 17 educated people in the Meccan society. And one of them was Umar bin Khattab. Right? So it's not sometimes the image of Islam that comes in our mind at the time of Rasulullah, just very weak people, uneducated and all of that. Yes, they were there. Ammar was there. Sumayya was there. Right? Khabbab bin Ard was there. And Bilal anhu was there. But yet there was Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali and Saad bin Abi Waqqas. Right? And all of these. And these were the cream of the society. So this happens, as such that the people, because these people are just looking at the outside, how people are dressed, where they live, and they're just looking at the outside. And because they're not satisfied by their outside, then I can't be there. I can't go there, right? There is a difference in a social class, right? And all of us belong to different social classes, and it's okay, right? However I was raised, whatever is my education level, we have our social classes, and it's okay to be comfortable in one and to be uncomfortable in another. But we cannot think that one is lower than the other. That's the important thing we have to know about. Not one is lower than the other, right? Or the other better than the other. Right? It's okay to have social classes, and it happens. That's fine. But here the eminent one said that, we do not see you followed except by those who are the lowest of us, and at first suggestion, that they listen to you at the first suggestion. And we do not see you in over us any merit. Rather, we think you are liars. He said, O my people, have you considered, if I should be upon clear evidence from my Lord, while he has given me mercy from himself, but it has been made unapparent to you, should we force it upon you, while you are averse to it? وَأَنْتُمْ لَهَا كَارِهُونَ. The desires basically lead to aversion. That's the basic thing here. The desires, what I want in my life, if something is not giving me to it, I will be averse to it. I don't want it. It's because not fulfilling my desires. I want to dress a certain way, and Quran is telling me you can't. I don't want to read the Quran. I want to eat something, and Quran is telling me not. I don't want to read it. The basic thing is desire. Right? That's the basic thing that makes us avert or go away from the truth. And O my people, I ask not of you for any wealth. My reward is not but from Allah. And I am not the one to drive away those who have believed. Indeed, they will meet their Lord, but I see that you are a people behaving ignorantly. قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ. So, by me saying, I don't want to read Quran, I don't want to know about Islam, right? And I don't want to know it. So it's a state of ignorance that I'm choosing for myself, right? You know how they say ignorance is a bliss? Right? Because if you don't know something, then you have an excuse towards it, right? But is it an excuse? Is ignorance an excuse? Can I say I haven't read it, so I don't know, and I don't want to read it, so I don't know? It's not an excuse. Right? The previous generations who were averse towards the truth, this is the psyche that Allah is telling me to know about them. They were people who were ignorant. They were people who were of the eminent ones. They were people who lied, and they told other people that you were liars. They thought that other people were lower than them. Right? So I need to know the psyche of these people and know what's their end, and then hopefully, inshallah, I need to judge myself. Do I have any of these qualities? Right? Following my desires, choosing to be ignorant. Right? And O my people, who would protect him from Allah if I drove them away? Then will you not be reminded? Because they were of the opinion that, if you are talking to us, then remove these people. The ones who believe in you, because they're of the lower class, remove them. Don't support them. Don't talk about them, and have a different class for us. And they said, so, and Nuh alayhi salam is saying, how can I drive them away? They're the ones who's following me. They're the better ones of you. And I do not tell you that I have the depositories, which is the provisions of Allah, or that I know the unseen. So he's saying, I don't have everything that I own. I don't know the unseen. Nor do I tell you that I am an angel. Nor do I say of those upon whom your eyes look down that Allah will never grant them any good. So Nuh alayhi salam is saying that I am not the one who chooses anything like that. Right? And I am not telling you that I am the owner of all the disposal of affairs. I own the treasures of the world. I am an angel. These people who are the poor people, I will, Allah will give them to punishment. We're not talking about them here. Why are you focused on the people? The message I'm giving you is that of the Creator here. Allah is most knowing of what is within their souls. Indeed, I would then be among the wrongdoers if I do that. They said, no, you have disputed, that is, you have opposed us, and been frequent in dispute of us. So bring us what you threaten us, if you should be of the truthful. He said Allah will only bring it to you if He wills, and you will not cause Him any failure. Right? Because they totally disbelieved Him. They said, okay, bring the punishment. You're saying that we'll be punished? Okay, bring it. So Nuh alayhi salam said, my advice will not benefit you. Although I wish to advise you, if Allah should intend to put you in error, He is your Lord, and to Him you will be returned. So do they say about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he invented it? Because now it's talking to, because primarily the address is the polytheist of Makkah, right? They're being discussed here, they're being addressed here. So now the example of Nuh alayhi salam, his people are coming, and Mushrikeen in Makkah are told, see, you're doing the same thing. You're giving the same reasons what these people give. And now it said, they say the same things. He invented it, that he invented the Quran. He wrote the Quran. Say, if I have invented it, then upon me is the consequence of my crime. But I am innocent of what crimes you commit. And it was revealed to Nuh alayhi salam that no one will believe from your people, except those who have already believed. So towards the end of his time, and how long did Nuh alayhi salam live? 950 years. And this will come later in the Quran. So this is almost 1,000 years. That's a long time, right? And guess how many people believed in him? Sending the message, doing dawah for almost 1,000 years. How many people believed in him? 80. 80. 1,000 years of dawah and 80 people are following you. That's a tough situation. That's very tough. You need to be a very, very strong person to be able to take that and accept that and still go on with the work of dawah. Right? So if any one of us chooses to do that work in our life, we gotta read this. We gotta know this. Most of the people won't believe it. They won't. And that's why we're not there to convert people. You know, sometimes we get into that mode, I have to convert everybody. It's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's that person's choice. My job is to, وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. Upon us is to convey only. Right? The job of dawah is not an easy job. And it requires a lot of patience, a lot of resilience, a lot of determination. And ayah number 37. And construct the ship under our observation and our inspiration, and do not address me concerning those who have wronged. Indeed, they are to be drowned. So Nuh alayhi salam was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to build an ark, right? A boat that's, although there was no water body there, they didn't live beside an ocean, there was no river, nothing. So when he was building an ark, that's what people were making fun of him. What is he doing? Why do you need a boat? And he constructed the ship, and whenever an assembly of the eminent of his people passed by him, they ridiculed him. He said, if you ridicule us, then we will ridicule you, just as you ridicule. You know how say what goes around comes back? This is like a principle of life. Remember this. What goes around comes back. Whatever we do in our life, it will come back to us. If we do any bad to anybody, that bad will come back to us. These people ridicule Nuh alayhi salam, and then he said, okay, you ridicule us, we will ridicule you, just as you ridicule us. And you are going to know who will get a punishment that will disgrace him on earth, and upon whom will descend an enduring punishment in the hereafter. So it was, until when our command came and the oven overflowed. We said, load upon it, that is the ship, of each creature 2 mates and your family. So when the oven overflowed, basically meant that the earth had basically split open and water started coming out. That's how it started. This is how it started basically. That the earth split open and the water started coming out. And at that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Nuh alayhi salam, embark on the ship, and when you embark on the ship, bring 2 mates of each creature. Right? And I'm sure if you've seen those cartoons that show Nuh alayhi salam stories, all the birds and animals and insects and creatures are coming. And this is what really happened. And why did Allah do that? Because the entire earth was going to finish. Everything was going to finish. Nothing. So basically he was asking Nuh alayhi salam to keep the species, all the species that were present on the earth. Right? And think about this. Couldn't Allah create everybody again? He created the lions and the tigers and the birds and the monkeys and the rabbits and the insects in the first instant. Right? Everything could have finished. It could have finished, right? And then when Nuh alayhi salam was saved and he went on Mount Judi and then they started, again Allah could have created the animals. Why ask Nuh alayhi salam to keep all the creatures, the mates of all the creatures? Think.
Looking ahead.
Right? Planning, looking ahead. Do something. You're saving, I'm saving you. You work for me too. Right? You work for this earth too. You maintain. So a Muslim should be a very, very green person. Right? We take care of our environment. Right? And we plan, we think ahead, and we are workers. Right? We work under a certain plan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do anything. Right? It has been mentioned so many times. If we wish, we could have made everybody believe. You would have made everybody one ummah and everybody would have believed. That's not life. That's not world. That's not earth. Right? Just knock, come out. This is a real world. We gotta work at things. We gotta plan things. We gotta take care of things. We gotta maintain things. So Allah said, load upon it, that is the ship, of each creature 2 mates and your family, except those about whom the word, that is the decree, has proceeded. That was he had 4 sons, and 1 out of the 4 sons did not believe in him, and his wife. Right? So his wife and 1 son, he didn't believe in him, and the 3 were with him. And include whoever has believed, but none had believed in him except a few. So except for 80 people, most of the people did not believe. And Nuh alayhi salam said, urkabu fiha bismillahi majreha wa mursaha inna rabbi laghafurur rahim. And Nuh alayhi salam said, embark therein in the name of Allah, and its course and its anchorage in creed. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. And this is the dua that we make when we are going on a cruise. Okay, when we go on the ship, basically. This is the dua. You know how when we drive or we're going for a ride or bike, whatever, Subhanalladhi sakhkhara lana, right? That's also a Quranic dua. This is the dua for embarking on a ship or a boat. And it sailed with them through waves like mountains. And Nuh alayhi salam called to his son who was apart from them, O my son, come aboard with us and be not with the disbelievers. But he said, I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water. Now try to imagine this. All of us, let's try to imagine this. Your son is right there. You know it's the punishment from Allah. It's not something that you can protect yourself from. And your son is right there and you're calling him, come in this boat, come with me. And his son is saying, no, I'll climb a mountain. Water won't reach there. You know it's going to reach there. You know everything will be finished and the son is right there in front of you. And he's not listening to you. And Nuh alayhi salam said, there is no protector today from the decree of Allah except for whom he gives mercy. And the wave came between them. And he was among the drowned. So Nuh alayhi salam saw it right in front of his eyes. That a big wave came and it drowned him. Imagine a prophet going through that. Right? His own son. Sisters, what you and I need to learn from this is, my kids are not in my hands. Nuh alayhi salam must not have been a bad father, right? It's not that he didn't put in enough effort for his son. Right? If he had worked 950 years with his nation, why wouldn't he have advised his own son? His other 3 sons were with him. Their families were with him. Right? They accepted. But the son chose not to. This one chose not to. My kids and your kids are not in our hands. Right? Does that mean we don't work at them? Does that mean we don't give them the environment? Does that mean we don't make dua for them? No. You got to work at things. You got to definitely work at it. Make dua for them. Some kids are tough and some are not. Nuh alayhi salam had 4 sons. 3 listened to him when 1 didn't. And this example is with me and for everybody to come until the day of resurrection. It's an example for me to learn. Right? And sometimes the reason I say is may Allah correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes I see parents too much focus on their kids. They focus too much on their kids that they forget themselves. That they would forget their own ibadah, their own amal, right? Their own standing in front of Allah on the day of resurrection, because they're so focused at the kids. The kids should do hifz, the kids should study Quran, the kids should have all the Islamic knowledge. And I'm not saying don't do that. Sure, do that. But the main tool of parenting is role modeling. What you do is what the kids will do eventually. If they don't see you involved and they just see you feeding them and picking and dropping them, that's what eventually they will come to them. They will do the same with their kids. That they may not do things themselves, but they will also pick and drop and feed. That's it. Right? So we got to work at ourselves. We got to learn and understand this. I have to do my ibadah. My worship is important. My own connection with the Quran is important. Right? And inshallah, with that role modeling, inshallah, my kids will learn. And yes, I have to work towards giving them an environment, right? Giving them, just reading with them, just taking them to beneficial classes. Sure, all of that is, I'm not saying don't do that. But just remember, كُلَّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. All of them will come on the day of resurrection as individuals, one by one. And on that day, I would be ready to give up my kids and my husband and my friends. That Allah take them. Rid me. If I'm going to hellfire, take all of them and grant me Jannah. And that's the reality of my life. When I stand in front of Allah, I won't care about anything. And why did Allah mention these things in the Quran? Because He wants me to know that's the reality, right? And it was said, O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, withhold your rain. Because what started was the earth split open, and then water started coming, and then rain also started coming. So basically, there was water everywhere, from the earth, from the sky. Everywhere there was water and water. And then eventually, when everybody drowned, everything was finished. Everything on the earth was finished. Nobody was there except for that one boat with 80 believers, including Nuh alayhi salam. Right? Everything. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, told the earth, swallow your water, O sky, withhold your rain, and the water subsided, and the matter was accomplished. And it came to rest on the mountain or Mount of Judi. The ship came to rest on Mount Judi. And it was said, away with the wrongdoing people. وَقِيلَ بُعْضَ لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. The wrongdoing people, now we're away. We're done away. Now it's just only 80 people left on this entire earth, and they're all believers. And with this will come the next generation. The next generation will believe, some will believe, and then after that people will start disbelieving. And Nuh called to his Lord and said, my Lord, indeed my son is of my family, and indeed your promise is true, and you are the most of the judges. Right? Nuh alayhi salam is still thinking about his son. Fitra? Right? Natural? It's but natural. Everybody is down, everybody is finished, and he's missing his son. His 3 sons are there, but he's thinking about that son. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, Ya Nuh innahu laysa min ahlik. Nuh, indeed, he is not of your family. Right? You know how the term Ahle Bayt, who are Ahle Bayt? The family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a term that's used for Ahle Bayt. Was Abu Lahab Ahle Bayt? He wasn't. He wasn't. He was the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The brother of Abdullah, right? Rasulullah's father, right? Who was it? Another companion. Yeah, just Abu Lahab. Just stick to Abu Lahab. Right? He was not Ahlul Bayt because he didn't believe. Ahlul Bayt are only those people, those family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who believed in him. So if there was anybody who was family of Rasulullah but didn't believe in him, they're not considered Ahlul Bayt. Right? So Nuh alayhi salam is told he's not from your family because he didn't believe in you. That's how these things seem harsh at times. Right? If nobody, so that means I don't believe in them. If they don't believe, if they disbelieve, that means they're not my family. Right? In this dunya, we will keep on giving them their right of family. Right? But if they die as disbelievers, then we can't do anything. We can't do anything for them then. Indeed, he is the one whose work was other than righteous. So ask me not for that about which you have no knowledge. Indeed, I advise you, lest you be among the ignorant. Nuh alayhi salam said, my Lord, I seek refuge in you from asking that of which I have no knowledge. And unless you forgive me and have mercy upon me, I will be among the losers. So he said, okay, I'm sorry. I'm still thinking of my son. Right? And I'm still asking for his refuge. And Allah is saying, you can't. It was said, O Nuh, disembark in security from us, and blessings upon you, and upon nations descending from those with you. But other nations of them will grant enjoyment. Then they will touch them from us a painful punishment. That is from the news of the unseen, which we revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You knew it not, neither you nor your people before this. So be patient. Indeed, the best outcome is for the righteous. So this entire thing has been told to the people of Makkah and to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That see, Muhammad, you know how what you're going through and it's tough for you? Other messengers, other brothers of yours have gone through the same thing. And the first example is coming of Nuh alayhi salam. 950 years, just 80 people. So Rasulullah is being strengthened here. Don't think you're alone in this process. This is how it has been. And then the story of Hud alayhi salam comes. And to Ad we sent their brother Hud. وَإِلَىٰ عَادٍ أَخَاهُمْ هُودًا قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا مُفْتَرُونَ. He said, O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him. You are not but inventors of falsehood. O my people, I do not ask you for it, that is my advice, any reward. My reward is only from the one who created me. Then will you not use reason? And O my people, ask forgiveness of your Lord, and then repent to Him. He will send rain from the sky upon you in showers, and increase you in strength, added to your strength. وَيَزِدْكُمْ قُوَّةً إِلَىٰ قُوَّتِكُمْ وَلَا تَتَوَلَّوْا مُجْرِمِينَ. And do not turn away being criminals. It is said that the nation of Hud al-Islam, Ad, they were people who were very strong. Physically, they were very strong. So Allah basically, Hud al-Islam is telling them that Allah will give you more strength. By following Islam, by accepting Him, by believing in me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your strength will be added. Right? Again, the message for me and for you, dunya doesn't get compromised by believing in Islam. Dunya will not get compromised in any way. Sometimes we fear that by following the book, by following Islam, by being a Muslim, by dressing up like a Muslim, by talking like a Muslim, but dunya would get compromised. No, it won't. No, it won't. Some test may come, one or two, but then eventually we'll be at the top. Right? We will get strengthened. They said, O Hud, you have not brought us clear evidence, and we are not ones to leave our gods or on your say-so, nor are we believers in you. We only say that some of our gods have possessed you with evil, that is insanity. He said, Indeed, I call Allah to witness, and witness yourself that I am free from whatever you associate with Allah other than Him. So plot against me altogether, then do not give me respite. Indeed, I have relied upon Allah, my Lord and your Lord. There is no creature but that He holds it by its forelock, that is, He controls it. Indeed, my Lord is on a path that is straight. But if you turn away, then I have already conveyed that with which I was sent to you. My Lord will give succession to a people other than you, and you will not harm him at all. Indeed, my Lord is over all things a guardian. And when our command came, we saved Hud and those who believed with him by mercy from us, and we saved them from a harsh punishment. So for them, وَنَجَّيْنَاهُمْ مِنْ عَذَابٍ غَلِيظٍ. The harsh punishment on them was an uncontrollable wind. Right? With Nuh alayhi salam, it was water. With Ad, with Hud alayhi salam, it was a wind. It's just such a strong wind. I don't know if any of you ever witnessed it. Such a very, very strong wind that everybody and that was Ad, who rejected the signs of their Lord, disobeyed the messengers, and followed the order of every obstinate tyrant. وَاتَّبَوْا أَمْرَ كُلِّ جَبَّارٍ عَنِيدٍ. So strong wind, just basically everybody was uprooted because of the strong wind. When tornadoes come, right? The houses, everything gets finished. And they were therefore followed in this world with a curse, and as well on the day of resurrection. Unquestionably, Ad denied their Lord. Ala bu'dan li Adin qawmin Hud. Then away with Ad, the people of Hud. When the end of Nuh alayhi salam was coming, their end was also the same. And do away from the people of Nuh alayhi salam. That was the end. Where is that ayah?
61.
Ayah number 61?
Yeah, we have to.
No, I'm saying the example of Nuh alayhi salam. When the incident was coming to an end, it was said the same thing. And ayah number 44. وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And away with the wrongdoing people. And when the end of Ad is coming, it's again at the same end. بُعْدًا لِعَادٍ قَوْمِ هُود. Then away with Ad, the people of Hud. Then, and you'll see this with every nation. The end is that we did away with them. Basically, they got finished. Ayah number 61, the story of Saleh alayhi salam. And to Thamud we sent their brother Saleh. He said, O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him. He has produced you from the earth and settled you in it. So ask forgiveness of Him and then repent to Him. Indeed, my Lord is near and responsive. Inna Rabbi qareebun mujib. He's near and He's responsive. So what do you and I have to do? If He's close to me and He's responsive, He calls back, then what do I have to do? I have to call Him. I have to call to Him, and then He will respond. Right? When we call somebody, then the person, if I don't dial the number, can the other person pick up the phone and talk to me? No. So if I don't call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't make dua for anything, then what? They said, ayah number 62, O Saleh, you were among us a man of promise before this. Do you forbid us to worship what our fathers worship? And indeed, we are about that to which you invite us in disquieting doubt. Ilahi marib. Marib is coming from the root word raya, ba is raib, and raib is kind of doubt that disturbs the person. It puts some kind of disturbance in the heart. One doubt is there that doesn't disturb you. You know you're doubtful about something, but it's not something that's disturbing you. A raib is kind of doubt which disturbs a person in the heart, and that is why Quran begins with what? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There is no doubt in this book. So when you start reading this book, all the confusions, any kind of disturbance in the heart, that's taken away. That's what Quran gives. That's why Quran gives strength and determination and focus, because it takes away all the doubts, all the confusions. If I have it in my heart, and if I feel that I have a lot of confusion in my mind, that means I gotta read this book. There are some people who come with a lot of questions. Some people have questions and confusions, and they don't know. I don't know things. Then read this book. Inshallah, this will give strength. Inshallah, inshallah. He said, O my people, have you considered if I should be upon clear evidence from my Lord, and He has given me mercy from Himself, who would protect me from Allah if I disobeyed Him? So you would not increase me except in loss. And O my people, this is the she-camel of Allah. So those people had asked for a miracle. They said, send us a miracle, right? And that's bad. Never ask for things. Because if you ask for something, you get it, and then you don't believe in it, then you've asked for it. You know how they say, don't ask for it? Then you've asked for punishment, because you asked for a miracle. So they asked for a miracle, and from a mountain came out a she-camel. And it was a very beautiful she-camel, a very big she-camel and a beautiful she-camel. And she just came out of a mountain. And there's a big mountain there, and she just came out of it. This is the she-camel of Allah. She is to you a sign. So let her feed upon Allah's earth, and do not touch her with harm, because she used to drink all the water that was there. When the camels would come and drink water, she would drink all the water. Right? And this was a test. Right? Allah didn't make it easy for them. The Sabbath with the Bani Israel, the fish would come on Saturday. It was a test. Right? These people had asked for a she-camel. She would drink all the water. Right? Because they had asked for it. And don't touch her with harm. So, or you will be taken by an impending punishment. But then they hamstrung her. Right? They killed her. So he said, enjoy yourselves in your home for 3 days. ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ ذَلِكَ بَعْدٌ غَيْرُ مَكْذُوبٍ. That is a promise not to be denied. So when our command came, we saved Saleh and those who believed with him by mercy from us, and saved them from the disgrace of that day. Indeed, it is your Lord who is the powerful, the exalted might. وَأَخَذَ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةُ فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دِيَارِهِمْ جَاثِمِينَ. And the shriek seized those who had wronged, and they became within their homes corpses, fallen prone. So it was one big shout, just one sayha. That's it, right? Began with Nuh alayhi salam. They had storm, flood. Ad, what was them? It was a wind. Now Saleh, Thamud, what's happening? Just one shout, sayha. They said that either Jibreel alayhi salam had shouted, or it was a blast, just one blast. And that one blast finished all of them, lying down like corpses in their homes, as if they had never prospered therein. And they said that this nation used to build big buildings and carve mountains and all of that. But they were advanced people. They were highly advanced people. Unquestionably, Thamud denied their Lord. Allah bu'da li Thamud. Then away with Thamud. Right? Thamud was also gone. And certainly did our messengers, that is angels, came to Ibrahim alayhi salam with good tidings. They said peace. He said peace, and did not delay in bringing them a roasted calf. It said that Ibrahim alayhi salam was a very hospitable person. Right? So as soon as the angels came, and they came in the form of human beings, so Ibrahim alayhi salam said, okay, these are some guests coming. So he roasted a calf and he presented him to them. And it said that he was about almost 100 years old at this time when angels are coming to him. But when he saw their hands not reaching for it, he distrusted them and felt from them apprehension. Because in those days, if some guest is coming to your house and he's not eating the food, then it was considered that as if there's some animosity there. Because people did not eat in the house of enemies. That was the way that was there. Even I think I saw some movie where they had the same thing. That people they came to the house of an enemy and didn't tell them that I am your enemy, and they were not eating. So it was at that time that people wouldn't eat in the house of their enemies. So when the angels didn't eat, Ibrahim as-salam was like, why aren't they eating? Right? With what intention have they come? They said, fear not, we have been sent to the people of Lut. Lut as-salam was the nephew of Ibrahim as-salam. And his wife was standing and she smiled. Ibrahim as-salam's wife was standing behind and she understood, oh, they're angels. And, she knew about Lut as-salam and what the nation was doing. And so she smiled. Then we gave her good tidings of Ishaq, and after Ishaq, Yaqub. Imagine, Ibrahim as-salam is about 100 years old. His wife is close to that age. And they're getting the news of a son, Ishaq. And not just a son, a grandson. It's one thing to have the news of a son. But he's not just a son, he said another son, and both of them will be prophets. At the age of 100. She said, woe to me! Shall I give birth while I am an old woman? And this, my husband, is an old man? Indeed, this is an amazing thing. La shay'un ajib. Right? But basically, they said, are you amazed at the decree of Allah? Allah is not bound by physical laws. You and I are bound by physical laws. He is not. He can do anything. Yet this world is working on physical laws, and we are bound by physical things. Right? But Allah is not bound by these things. He can do anything that He wants to, and with anybody that He wants to. May the mercy of Allah and His blessings be upon you, people of the house. Indeed, He is praiseworthy and honorable. So when the fright had left Ibrahim, naturally he understood, oh, these are angels. And the good tidings had reached him, he began to argue, that is, plead with us concerning the people of Lut. Because Ibrahim as-salam was a very, very super kind-hearted man. Right? Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was super kind-hearted. He said, people of Lut, you're going to kill them. Because he knew what punishment means. If the punishment is coming from Allah, everybody will be finished. Everybody dead. So he started pleading in their case. Indeed, Ibrahim was forbearing, grieving, and frequently returning to Allah. La halimun awahum munib. That is what Ibrahim alayhi salam was. Ya Ibrahim, the angel said, O Ibrahim, aridan hada. Give up this plea. He said, don't do that. Don't plead in their case. Indeed, the command of your Lord has come, and indeed there will reach them a punishment that cannot be repelled. And when our messengers, the angels, came to Lut, he was anguished for them and felt for them great discomfort and said, this is a trying day. So the crime of the nation of Lut alayhi salam was homosexuality. Right? So when the angels came, and now look at this. When the angels came, they came in the form of two beautiful men. Why would Allah do that? Already the problem with this nation is that of homosexuality. Right? And now angels are coming who are coming for the sake of punishment. And they came in the form of two beautiful men. What was that? It's a test. It was a test. Test will come. It happens to us. There's something that's stopping me and it will come. So this is a trying day. And so Lut was trying to protect them. He said, if I leave them, what are these people going to do with it? If I put them inside, how will I stop them? This is a trying day. And his people came hastening to him, and before this they had been doing evil deeds. He said, O my people, these are my daughters. They are purer for you. And these are my daughters doesn't mean he was his daughters. The prophets are like the fathers of a nation. So these are my daughters basically meant the women of the nation. So fear Allah, and do not disgrace me concerning my guest. Is there not among you a man of reason? They said, you have already known that we have nothing, any claim concerning your daughters, that we have no desire for them. And indeed, you know what we want. He said, if only I had against you some power, or could take refuge in a strong support. They, that is the angel, said, O Lut, indeed we are messengers of your Lord. Therefore, they will never reach you. Right? So don't worry, they won't be able to touch you. So set out with your family during a portion of the night, and let not any among you look back. Right? So Lut alayhi salam was asked to leave his house in the night time with your family and just keep on going. Don't look back. Don't look back what's going on. Except your wife. Indeed, she will be struck by that which strikes them. Indeed, their appointment is for the morning. Isn't the morning near? So
the problem with the wife was she was not a homosexual herself. She was not herself like that. But she agreed to what people were doing. She was okay with it. And she was the one who told the nation about the angels that were coming. The 2 men have come, they're 2 beautiful men, and he informed the people about those 2 angels. And that is why, even if she was not involved in the sin herself, but she was okay with it and she encouraged it, she was one of the ones who were left behind. Right? So something we gotta be super careful, right? Because homosexuality is something which nowadays it's being promoted now. Laws are being taken out, which they say it's okay, right? And our kids, may Allah protect them from this sin, inshallah, are somehow being trained to have the mindset that even if you're not involved with it, just respect it, right? It's a choice. It's a gender choice now. That's how this thing is being promoted and marketed now, right? You and I can never be okay with it, right? However, if I meet somebody and know somebody, for example, who's a homosexual or a gay or lesbian, can I hit that person, right? If that person falls on the ground and needs some help, would I help that person? Yes, I will. Okay? So we still have to maintain the respect of humanity. Right? In schools, our kids still have to maintain that respect that other human beings have. What they have chosen for themselves is bad for their dunya and bad for the hereafter. We still respect them as human beings. But can we agree to what they're doing? No, we can never agree to it. And we can never be okay with it. And it's difficult. For our kids, it's difficult because they're being raised in this environment where everybody's telling them just be okay with it. Right? So yet we have to raise the bar of being okay with it, but still respect them. We can't kill people like that, right? Who was it who went into the bar? The homicide person. Where was it? Orlando.
I forgot the name.
Right? Yeah, he was a Muslim who did that, right? We can't do that. We can't do these things. We can't kill people because we're there. This is in the hands of Allah, and He will deal with it. As far as I'm concerned and my kids are concerned, I cannot be okay with it. There's no way I can be okay with it. Right? So when our command came, we made the highest part of the city its lowest and rained upon them stones of layered hard clay. So what happened was basically it was an earthquake. Entire earth was taken from the ground and then it came up and then fallen on the ground. And then it was a rain of stones on them, and it said that each stone was marked with the name of the person upon which it fell, and the person just died at the same spot. So the earth was its lowest, the highest part of the earth became its lowest, and rained upon them stones of layered hard clay, marked from your Lord, musawwamatan inda rabbik, and it is, that is Allah's punishment, is not from the wrongdoers very far. And to Madian, and then now the story of Shuaib alayhi salam is coming. And to Madian we sent their brother Shuaib. He said, O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him, and do not decrease from the measure and the scale. Indeed, I see you in prosperity, but indeed I fear for you the punishment of an all-encompassing day. O my people, wa ya qawmi, that was their sin now. Awful mikala wal mizana bil qist. O my people, give full measure and weight in justice, and do not deprive the people of their due, and do not commit abuse on the earth, spreading corruption. So whereas they were not giving Allah His right, they were not giving the people their right. Right? They would give second quality stuff, selling things that this is high quality, so selling it for high price, but used to sell second quality stuff. Or when they were measuring or balancing things, they were doing misbalance in that. And they were spreading corruption in these. وَلَا تَعْثُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ مُفْسِدِينَ. What remains lawful from Allah is best for you, if you would be believers, but I am not a guardian over you. And this is something, unfortunately, that we see the Muslims as well, that Muslims are not as honest as they should be. Right? We see these things amongst the Muslims. Muslims should be known in communities, whether we're a minority, right? In America, we are a minority. We should be known as people who are honest, who give full measure. And unfortunately, we're not known like that. Right? If there are two people out there that I have to do business with, sometimes we think about dealing with a Muslim because Muslims are not as honest. Right? So this is something that, inshallah, hopefully, with our future generation here, we have to work at that they should be honest, super honest people. there was a time, again, the golden era of the Muslims, when if there were people, if this it's a market, it's a bazaar, and there's a person who's selling his stuff, and the person right in front of him, the shop right in front of him, is also selling the same stuff. When the person who's selling the stuff and his credit for the day is done, like he's done with this, for example, he had to make $100, for example, in a day, and he's done with $100, right? And he sees some people coming to his shop, right, and asking for more. Then he would say, go to that person, give him business. That was the principles of business for Muslims. They were not into making money. They knew risk was coming from Allah. It will come to me, right? But they were honest people. They had big hearts. The definition of economy was different than in these days, right? So inshallah, if we, and this is what Quran builds me up as. If I know the ayah that says Allah is the raziq of every dabba on this earth, every creature on this earth, that I've read this ayah, then I know risk will come to me. I have to work for it. Yes, I have to open the shop. I have to sell. Right? I have to go there, and it will come to me. I don't have to be dishonest. I don't have to lie. I don't have to cheat. I don't have to fraud. I don't have to be the one hoarding money. Okay, it's good that I'm running my business and that person is not having any business. I should be happy about it. That's not a competition, but that's what they're teaching now, right? That's the competition being taught in business. That's what is being taught, right? If you look at the pharmaceuticals, these big companies, right? That's what's happening. What remains lawful from Allah is best for you, if you would be believers. But I am not a guardian over you. They said, O Shuaib, does your prayer, that is religion, command you that we should leave what our fathers worship, or not do with our wealth what we please? Indeed, you are the forbearing, the discerning. Like, why religion has to interfere with the way I'm living? Why does religion have to interfere with that? If you want to pray, okay, prayer is one side, but business, that's separate. Don't bring religion in that. For me, Islam is a part of everything. Me dealing with my kids, me dealing with my husband, me studying, me working. Islam has to be part of every day of my life. He said, O my people, have you considered if I am upon clear evidence from my Lord, and He has provided me with a good provision from Him? I do not intend to differ from you in that which I have forbidden you. I only intend to reform as much as I am able. And my success is not but through Allah. Upon Him I have relied, and to Him I return. And O my people, let not your dissension from me cause you to be struck by that, similar to what struck the people of Nuh, or the people of Hud, or the people of Saleh, and the people of Lut are not very far from you. So Shoaib al-Islam gave the examples of all the nations that are there. Right? All of them are there. You know these people. Lut al-Salam and Shoaib al-Salam, there is a gap of about 600 years in between these two nations. And ask forgiveness. وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ إِنَّ رَبِّي رَحِيمٌ وَدُودٌ. Ask forgiveness of your Lord and then repent to Him. Indeed, my Lord is merciful and affectionate. They said, O Shoaib, we do not understand much of what you say, and indeed we consider you among us as weak. And if not for your family, we would have stoned you to death, and you are not to us one respected. Because he came from a good family. Shoaib Islam is coming from a good family. So he's saying it's because your family that we are saying, okay, fine, we're doing away with you. He says, O my people, is my family more respected for power by you than Allah? He said, the message that I'm giving, respect that, because Allah is much more stronger than my family. You're respecting me because I'm coming from a good family? Respect me because I'm a messenger of Allah. But you put him behind your backs in neglect. Indeed, my Lord is encompassing of what you do. And O my people, work according to your position. That is, Amanu ala makanatikum. And what was their position? Disbelief and dishonesty. And indeed, I am working. You are going to know to whom will come a punishment that will disgrace him and who is a liar. So watch. Indeed, I am with you, a watcher. And when our command came, we saved Shoaib and those who believed with him by mercy from us. And the shriek seized those who had wronged, and they became within their homes corpses, fallen prone. وَأَصَّيْحَةُ فَأَصْبَحُوا. Again, they were given one shriek, one loud noise, and as if they had never prospered therein. أَلَا بُغْضَ لِمَدْيَنَ كَمَا بُعْبَيْدَةِ ثَمُودَ. And then away with Madian, as Thamud was taken away. Same thing happened with the people of Madian, Shuaib alayhi salam. And we did certainly send Musa with our signs and a clear authority. to Pharaoh and his establishment, but they followed the command of Pharaoh, and the command of Pharaoh was not at all discerning. So people chose the way that the life that Pharaoh was telling them to choose. What was the lifestyle that Pharaoh was telling them to choose? A life led by a book, by a messenger, on the life on the basis of which was materialism. It was materialism. Right? There was a lifestyle called by Pharaoh, and the lifestyle that Musa alayhi salam was giving them. Right? The reason I say this more is because we are living in a capitalistic society. Right? What most of the people are following, what everybody is marketing, is a materialistic lifestyle. Right? And as much as we are living here, and we can, and it's okay, right? But we gotta be careful. Okay? We gotta be careful. Our lifestyle has to be on the basis of this book. Right? And again, we've discussed this so many times. Islam is not forbidding us to use dunya, to live comfortably, to use the resources given to us. Islam is not saying no to any of that. Yet we have to draw the line. Right? We have to choose. Either it's the way of the leaders that are there, or it's the way of something else. Somebody just sent a video the other day about Germany. I don't know if you've seen it. You know how these videos go viral on WhatsApp? I don't know if this is viral or not. However, it was about Germany, how about 15 years ago Germany was in debt. 15 nations were giving them money to grow themselves and all of that. And then today Germany is one of the 4th leading countries, of the world, socially, economically. It's basically a country that is prospering. And the reason they said at the end is because look at the leader, I don't know, it was the prime minister of Germany or whoever, and they had some delegations that are coming from the US and all, big countries, big shots. They were coming to him, and they were serving them, and the lady was serving them coffee in a small paper cup, pouring it out from a thermos and giving it to them. And the example they was given is they're simple people. Their leaders are simple people. They're not into a lot of diplomatic affrontations. You know how when you go to palaces and you go to White House, you go to these places, diplomatic places, there's a lot of show of things. It has to be proper and has to be like that, right? Whereas when they were talking about Germany, that within a span of 15 years, they built themselves up because they're simple people. And you see that in Europe a lot. You see that in Europe, yeah. They're simple people. They're very morbid as well. If you go, if you just walk around the streets, people are just sitting, sad face. Yeah, you're like, what's up with them? And it's like that somehow. I don't know, although it's beautiful there. Europe is beautiful. But somehow you see that, they're just sad people. You see a lot of old people, not a lot of young people. Right? However, inshallah, He will precede His people on the day of resurrection and lead them into the fire, and wretched is the place to which they are led. So it's said that Pharaoh and establishment, the people followed the command of Pharaoh, and the command of Pharaoh was not at all discerning. And He will precede His people on the day of resurrection. Right? So the people followed Pharaoh in this world, and on the day of resurrection, they will still follow him. And where will He lead them to? To the hellfire. Right? So I have to see who's my role model in this life. Who is it that I am following? Right? I have to see that. Right? As a mother, who do I look up to? As a student, who do I look up to? Right? Our kids get into these fame things. Right? The football player is very famous, or some maybe Hollywood actress is very famous. Right? Our kids get into this. Or maybe we did get into it too. Right? They're the leaders. They're the role models. Well, we have to take care of that, because those are the leaders. Wherever they're gonna go, we're gonna follow them. Right? Whatever they are talking and their values and their principles, that's where I'm being led to. So I gotta be careful with that. And they were followed in this world with a curse, and on the day of resurrection, and wretched is the gift which is given. That is from the news of the cities which we relate to you. Of them some are still standing, and some are as a harvest mowed down. We did not wrong them, but they wronged themselves. And they were not availed at all by their gods, which they invoked other than Allah, when there came the command of your Lord, and they did not increase them in anything other than ruin. Ayah number 102. وَكَذَلِكَ أَخْذُ رَبِّكَ إِذَا أَخَذَ الْقُرَى وَهِيَ ظَالِمَةٌ إِنَّ أَخَذَهُ أَلِيمٌ شَدِيدٌ. And thus is the seizure of your Lord when he seizes the cities while they are committing wrong. Indeed, his seizure is painful and severe. So all these examples that Allah has given me of the flood, the sayha, the loud sound, the wind, what was it? The earthquake, all of this. And do we still see that in the world that's going on around? Right? We see that. Are those climatic conditions only? Is it just climatic conditions? People who believe in Mother Nature, right? There's no Lord, it's just Mother Nature, and climatic conditions take place, and these are weather anomalies, right? That's how we see them. They're weather anomalies. That's how it is. Earthquakes and floods and tornadoes. How can I view them? Are these just weather anomalies? Or is there more to it? There's more to it, right? Did Rasulullah ﷺ used to make dua if he would see a strong wind?
Yeah.
Did he make dua if the rain started to come down? Yes. Yes, these are things related to physical nature and weather, but Rasulullah would get scared because this is how the previous nations were destroyed. So when I see any kind of weather anomaly or any climatic conditions and changes, I gotta make dua. When rain comes, when wind comes, right? If I see earthquake, a tornado, can I judge those people that they're bad people, so Allah is punishing them? Can I do that? No. So can I say that Katrina, when it came, it was because it was a punishment for those people? That's between them and Allah. It was a punishment. Allah knows that better, right? I helped them at that time. But I make dua for myself, inshallah, that may Allah protect me from any kind of climatic condition. Indeed, in that is a sign for those who fear the punishment of the hereafter. That is a day for which the people will be collected, and that is a day which will be witnessed. And we do not delay it except for a limited term. The day it comes, no soul will speak except by his permission, and among them will be the wretched and the prosperous. As for those who were destined to be wretched, they will be in the fire. For them therein is violent exhaling and inhaling. خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض إلا ما شاء ربك إن ربك فعال لما يريد. They will be abiding therein as long as the heavens and the earth endure, except what your Lord should will. Indeed, your Lord is an effector of what he intends. And as for those who were destined to be prosperous, they will be in paradise, abiding therein as long as the heavens and the earth endure, except what your Lord should will, a bestowal uninterrupted. So when Allah says that if one was intended to be prosperous, he will be in Jannah, and one who was intended to be wretched, he will be in hellfire. Why was they intended by Allah to go to heaven and hell? Is it something they did, or just because Allah decided that for them? It was something they did. It was because of their disbelief and something that they did. So do not be in doubt, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as to what these people are worshipping. They don't worship any except their fathers worship before, what their fathers worship before. And indeed, we will give them their share undiminished. And we certainly gave Musa the scripture, but it came under disagreement. And if not for a word that proceeded from your Lord, it would have been judged between them. And indeed, they are concerning it, that is the Quran, in disquieting doubt. And indeed, each of the believers and disbelievers, your Lord will fully compensate them for their deeds. Indeed, he is aware of what they do. So remain on a right course, as you have been commanded. And those who have turned back with you to Allah, and do not transgress. Indeed, he is seeing of what you do. So basically, again, with Musa alayhi salam, the book came and people deferred after the book, right? So Rasulullah is being told the same thing. The book has come to you. You follow the straight path. There will be people who will defer in you. Even now, the Jews are discerning with you, right? They're not. Actually, this is a Meccan surah. But however, people after the book has come to them, they are deferring from you. Previous nations did the same thing. Book came to them, to Musa alayhi salam, and they deferred with it. So Rasulullah is being told, do not incline towards those who do wrong, lest you be touched by the fire. And you would not have other than Allah any protectors. Then you would not be helped. SubhanAllah. And establish prayer at the two ends of the day and at the approach of the night. Indeed, good deeds do away with misdeeds. الحسنات يذهبن السيئات ذلك ذكرى للذاكرين, and that is reminder for those who remember. Right, so Rasulullah is being asked here to establish prayer at the two ends of the day. So either it could have been Fajr and Maghrib, or it can be Zuhur and Asr. Fajr is the beginning, right at the beginning, sunrise. Maghrib is right at the end, right? Zuhur is when the sun starts to come down, right? And Asr is when the sun is like right at the point of where after that it's just going down then, right? Because with Zuhur time, the Zuhur time is when the sun is at its peak, right? And then it starts to come down. That's when Zuhur time starts. So that's one end, and then Asr is the time when then starts to come down, down, down. After that, once the Asr time starts, then the sun just starts to come down. So either the two ends of the day can be Fajr and Maghrib, or Zuhur and Asr. And the end of the day is at the approach of the night, which is Isha basically. These are the 5 prayers. Indeed, good deeds do away with misdeeds, right? So when I do something good, it can do away with my bad deeds, right? So inshallah, I got to focus at my good. Sometimes we get involved with bad deeds, right? And sometimes you wonder like, how do I get rid of it? What do? I have this bad habit of doing whatever, right? Start doing good. Inshallah, that good will help me get away of the bad, right? Inshallah. That is a reminder for those who remember. وَاصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and be patient, for indeed Allah does not allow to be lost the reward of those who do good. So after telling me aqim as-salah, he's telling me fasbir, right? Which is telling me that ibadah needs sabr. Right? To do ibadah, I need patience. Inshallah. And once I have patience in my ibadah, hopefully inshallah it can be manifested in my life as well. Sabr. Right? However, is the state of my salah is the state of my life. If my salah is like disturbed, not khushu, not focused, right? This is how my life will be. If my salah is like super focused, I have khushu in it, and I like it, I'm interested in it, that's how my life will be. If I can stand in my salah for long, for example, people who can do qiyam, you need a lot of patience for qiyam, right? Because you're just standing, standing and reciting. If you have patience for that, you can have patience in life as well, right? Inshallah. And this is a good starting point. It's Ramadan. We stand up for Taraweeh anyways, right? It teaches us. Although these Taraweeh, this is easy Taraweeh, you know that? This is super easy. Have you ever attended like real Taraweeh? They stand long. They stand really long. No, not Shabir, not that. There's some masajid who do 8 rakah only, not 20 rakah, and they would finish one juz in 8 rakah. Right? So you stand long.
Even in 20 rakah, they finish like 5 juz.
Sometimes people do that. Right. Some people do that. Right. I don't know about that, the simplicity of that. However, yeah, I don't know. But Qiyam is, Rasulullah would recite Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Nisa. First rakah Surah Al-Baqarah, second rakah Surah Al-Nisa, or Surah Al-Imran. He would do that. Right? His feet would sometimes get swollen up. Right? He did Qiyam. He really stood up. Inshallah. Not that I'm asking you to do that. But inshallah, we need to have patience with ourselves. We need to teach ourselves patience, inshallah, right? That's the main point that we're discussing here. We need to teach ourselves patience, inshallah. If I have patience in my salah, hopefully, inshallah, it can trickle down in my life as well, inshallah. So why were there not among the generations before you those of enduring discrimination, forbidding corruption on earth, except a few of those we saved from among them? So again, Allah is saying, why weren't there some people who were telling people to do good, right? Who were spreading the message of Allah? But those who wronged pursued what luxury they were given therein, and they were criminals. And your Lord would not have destroyed the cities unjustly, while their people were reformers. وَأَهْلُهَا مُصْلِحُونَ. So some people from the community has to be of the one who is doing the job of islah, correcting people, telling people what's right and what's wrong. Some people have to be doing it. Right? So inshallah, you and I have to be involved in this process somehow. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. Right? Try correcting your kids. Does it work? Doesn't, right? Doesn't come easy. Right? But Allah is saying that we had not destroyed those. If there were some people who were doing Islam, we wouldn't have destroyed those nations because some people were doing their job. The people of Sabbath, they were into three groups. One doing the bad thing, one not doing the bad thing but not stopping anybody, and they were also punished. And one who did not do bad and stopped other people from bad. So Islam is it's a faculty. We have to work at this. You know how people go into engineering and medicine and all of this? Islah is something, it's a field that we can go into. And if your Lord had willed, he could have made mankind one community, but they will not cease to differ, except whom your Lord has given mercy, and for that he created them. But the word of your Lord is to be fulfilled, that I will surely fill hell with jinn and men all together. And each story we relate to you from the news of the messengers is that by which we make firm your heart. So whatever stories I've told you, it is to make your heart firm. Because imagine what Rasulullah was going through. Everybody was against him. Right? Very few people were believing in him. So he has told these stories. See, everybody has been through like that. Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, Saleh, Shuaib, all the Musa, all these people went through what you're going through. So don't lose heart. And there has come to you in this the truth and an instruction and a reminder for the believers. And say to those who do not believe, work according to your position. Indeed, we are working. And wait, indeed, we are waiting. And to Allah belong the unseen of the heavens and the earth. And to Him will be returned the matter of all of it. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. So worship Him and rely upon Him. And your Lord is not unaware of that which you do. Okay, with that we come to the end of Surah Hud. And inshallah we begin Surah Yusuf. I need a 2 minutes break.
Do you want some water?
No, I'll just... Who doesn't like stories? Doesn't matter how old we are, right? This entire movie industry, it's built up on what? It's storytelling, right? Movies and shows and all these are storytellings, right? And this is the method Allah has used to tell people about Him, about this earth, about the life, storytelling. And subhanAllah, and we do this. This is Ahsanul Qasas, the best of the stories, right?
They are real.
So
It inspires.
right, and it's real. That's true. That's true. It's real. It's not just a makeup story, but it's a real story, and it has everything in it. There's action, and there's revenge, and there's an ending. There's a hero, and things like that. So if you guys are into these things, and if you can imagine it, that would be really good. So imagine these things as these things are coming up. Imagine these things. If Yusuf alayhi salam is talking to his father, right? Don't imagine the heroes or heroines like real people, but some imagination use it. That there's a son who's talking to his father, and then brothers are coming, and then they're inspiring, and so inshallah, let's read this and let's enjoy and let's learn the lessons. That's what the purpose of Quran is. We gotta learn the lesson, right? Inshallah ta'ala. Surah Yusuf was revealed in the year which is termed as Amul Huzn for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the year of grief. Why? Because first his beloved uncle Abu Talib, who was his support in all the ways that he could have been, a financial support, a physical support, a moral support, and he was the leader of the tribe, right? He passed away. Okay, so that was one big pillar on which Rasulullah would stand up, right? He passed away. And then his beloved wife, Khadija radhiyallahu anha, she passed away. And it is said when after the death of Khadija radhiyallahu anha, Rasulullah had become a changed man. He was different. He wouldn't talk to people. He was quiet. He wouldn't come out of his house. Right? And people started noticing it. That's when they told Rasulullah to marry. And that when Sauda radhiyallahu anha was presented to him, that, just marry this woman then, because you need somebody to take care. Right? Which tells us that Rasulullah was a human being. Right? He had the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he trusted Allah like nobody else could. Right? Of course he did. Yet he was a human being, and he was really, really attached to Khadija radhiyallahu anha. Right? They were like the best couple, and Rasulullah never married anybody while he was married to Khadija radhiyallahu anha. Right? So when she expired and when Abu Talib expired, these were the two people who were holding Rasulullah up. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these were the two people who were holding him up in his work, what he was doing, and both of them expired in the same year. Right, so the year was termed as Amul Huzn. It was a difficult time with Rasulullah. And at that time, Surah Yusuf comes down. Teaching what? What's the main lesson of Surah Yusuf? I'm sure you've read about it. It's patience. Right? So difficult times come in life. Right? And maybe it will last for a long time. It happens. It can happen to some of us. Maybe it has happened before. Maybe it will happen before. Not that, God forbid, I'm anticipating it for anybody. But it can. Right? And maybe it can last for a long time. For years, maybe. And this is what happened to Yusuf alayhi salam. It lasted for him for a very, very long time. Right? And the solution to all of it was sabrun jameel. Not just patience, but beautiful patience. And beautiful patience is patience at the first instance. That's patience. Right? And then you're able to maintain that patience. Sometimes we don't do it at the first instant, right? Sometimes we do it at the first instant, and then we lose it later. Right? So sabrun jameel is patience at the first instant, and then maintaining it, inshallah. Surah Yusuf, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitabil Mubin. Alif Lam Ra. These are the verses of the clear book. So very, very clear, well explained book. Indeed, we have sent it down as an Arabic Quran, Quranic Arabic لعلكم تعقلون, so that you might understand. So the first thing at least that came to my mind is, if the Quran is in Arabic, Arabic is not even my language, right? And before that, Allah, you were telling me that these are the verses of a clear book. How can it be clear to me when I don't even know Arabic? I'm not an Arab, right? Again, my trust in Allah comes. There has to be some reason why He's telling me first that it's a clear book. Very clear. And then He's telling me it's a Quran in the Arabic language, right? Just let's get a little realistic, right? And just let's be a little matured. When this book was coming down, who were the first audience? It was the Arabs, right? And did Allah choose Arabs to be the audience? At that time, the superpowers were the Romans and the Persians. Why didn't the book came down for them? He could have done it, right? Why couldn't a prophet come down from the Romans and the Persians in the superpower? He could have done that. Why chose Arabs? Why choose Rasulullah to be? Huh?
The Arabs were more ignorant.
More what?
Ignorant.
More ignorant. Arabic language was supposed to be chosen as the language of the last book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? There's a book by Philip Hitti in which he talks about the Arabs. I have it. I don't know what's the title. If you just type of Philip Hitti, it will come up. Google just Philip Hitti, and it will talk about the Arabs at that time. And this basically, it talks about why Arabs were chosen for the last revelation to come to them. You know, and then why Arabic language is chosen. Arabic language is a very interesting language because it just doesn't hold semantics or meanings. It holds emotions. It has cognitions. It has psychology. Each word would have like a history of emotions and cognitions behind it, right? The way we pronounce the word would hold the meaning of the word. So it's an interesting language. If we get into the language, into learning it, then we understand. Oh, makes sense why Arabic language was chosen to be the language of the Quran, right? And this is why this is something that inshallah you and I and our kids have to work at, to know the Arabic language, right? To understand the Quran through the Arabic language. Alhamdulillah, we're doing the translation. May Allah accept it, and we're doing it for the sake of understanding. Right? And inshallah, may Allah accept the effort. But we should try to learn Quran in the Arabic language. It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Right? Because the translation is a tafsir. Translation is a tafsir. It's not Quran. Right? The Quran is the Arabic language is the Quran. So when I'm reciting Alif Lam Ra Tilka Ayatul Kitabil Mubin, I would get the reward of Alif Lam Ra, 30 hasanat inshallah. But when I say these are the verses of the clear book, I don't get the reward of particularly saying the English language. I'll get the reward of trying to understand it, sure, but not saying the English language. Right? So Arabic in itself holds a certain degree, a certain class in it, inshallah. We relate to you, O Muhammad, the best of the stories in what we have revealed to you of this Quran, although you were before it among the unaware. So the Quran itself is saying this is Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of the stories in the Quran. Yes?
I'm just curious what languages the other scriptures.
Hebrew? Yeah. They were Hebrew, yeah.
All of them?
Latin. No, not all of them. But I know about the Gospel, that was Hebrew. I know. And maybe Injil as well, because Isa alayhi salam came at the time of the Jews. He was for the Jews, so maybe that was also Hebrew. And I don't know about Zams, Dawud alayhi salam. I don't know about that, what language. But we find it. People have some where they have some like papers of Zabur as well. Right? People have some, in maybe old museums, they have some of the papers there. Of these stories mentioned when Yusuf alayhi salam said to his father, so now the story is beginning. When Yusuf alayhi salam said to his father, "O my father, indeed I have seen in my dream 11 stars, and the sun and the moon, and I saw them prostrating to me." He said, "O my son, do not relate your vision to your brothers, or they will contrive against you a plan. Indeed, shaitan to man is manifest enemy." Right? So see from here, the son is narrating his dream to his father, right? And his father is a prophet. Yaqub alayhi salam is a prophet. And he knows what his son has seen, right? He knows what his son has seen, and he tells his son, don't share it with your brothers, because they will contrive a plan. He knows his kids. Parents know their kids who they are. However, by telling his son to be careful, he's telling them the reason they'll do it, because they'll get jealous of you. And why will they get jealous? Because shaitan is a manifest enemy, and he will make them jealous. So whereas he's telling him to be careful of his brothers, he's not sowing the seed of animosity in his heart. Your brothers are bad, don't tell them. He's not telling them that. He's just saying to be careful, because shaitan can sow down jealousy in their heart. So as parents, this is parenting, right? Telling your kids to be careful, right? Telling your kids, if they know that, because I know my kids, I know all my three, right? If I know if one is coming and telling me something, and I know that the other one can do something to it, I can tell him, don't tell your brother, sister, for example. But at that time when I'm telling him that, I don't sow the seed of life because your sister is bad, that's why. I tell him because shaitan can do that. Shaitan can come to them and do that. Right? So this is like parenting right here. Right? And thus will your Lord choose you. That is, he told them you will become a prophet. Right? Because what you've seen, you will become a prophet. And teach you the interpretation of narratives, that is, events or dreams, and complete his favor upon you, and upon the family of Yaqub, as he completed it upon your fathers before Ibrahim and Ishaq alayhim salam. Indeed, your Lord is knowing and wise. Certainly were there in Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers a sign for those who ask. The reason Surah Yusuf was revealed was that the mushrikeen of Makkah, they weren't the people of the book, right? They were the mushrikeen, they were polytheists, they used to worship idols. So when Rasulullah started talking about book and Quran and the messengers and all of that, and the stories are being narrated here, right? And they were for the Meccans. Surah Hud that we did, it's all Meccan story. So when they had to confirm some things, they used to go to Medina, to the Jews and the Christians, because they were the people of the book. So they were scholars of that time. So the polytheists of Makkah would go to Medina, to the Jews and the Christians, to confirm things from them. If we are hearing this, is this true or not? Because you have the book. So you are people of knowledge. So Jews and Christians were considered as people of knowledge and scholars of their time. So when Rasulullah started giving the message and the stories and all of that, they went to Medina to ask the Jews that there's this man named Muhammad, and he's saying this and this. Is this true? Like, does this work? Like, a book is there and he's a messenger and all of that. And the Jews said, okay, if he's truthful, ask him how Yusuf alayhi salam ended up in Egypt. He was with his father in Canaan, in Iraq, in where Yaqub alayhi salam was. How come he ended up in Egypt, and all the Bani Israel ended up in Egypt? Right? So basically this was a historical question. So the mushrikeen of Makkah came back to Rasulullah and asked him this question. And Rasulullah didn't know. He didn't know how Bani Israel ended up in Egypt. Right? So that's when they asked him this question. Then Surah Yusuf was revealed, to tell him the entire story of how Yusuf alayhi salam was born and raised in Canaan, right, with Yaqub alayhi salam, ended up in Egypt. How and when did he come to Egypt? When they said, Yusuf and his brothers are more beloved to our father than we, while we are a clan. Indeed, our father is in clear error. Ayah number 7. Certainly there were in Yusuf and his brothers a sign for those who ask. Right? So the people, now the story is being read to them, how the story begins. Yusuf alayhi salam, when they said, Yusuf and his brother are more beloved to our father than we. So Yusuf alayhi salam, there were total 12 brothers, right? 10 of them were one from one mother, and Yusuf alayhi salam and another brother, Benyamin, were from the other mother. but total, because they had one father, Yaqub alayhi salam, there were 12 of them total. So the 10 of them said that we see that Yusuf and his brother, that is Binyamin, are more beloved to our father than the 10 of us. We are more in number. He should love us more. Yet he loves them more, and he's in clear error. So now start noticing the psyche behind this. We're more in number, so we should be loved more. Quantity. Okay? So now this is coming up. Indeed, our father is in clear error. So blaming the other person for their attitude. Right? He is in error. We're not in mistake. They're not seeing that maybe it was something they do with their father because of which he doesn't love them as such. But he is in clear error. Who did that first? Shaitan did that. He told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you misguided me. He didn't notice that he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He blamed Allah. You misguided me. Kill Joseph or cast him out to another land. Now this is what they're planning. The countenance, that is attention of your father, will then be only for you, and you will be after that a righteous people. So basically get rid of him. Get him out of the picture, so then we can be the ones, inshallah, that our father will give attention to us and he will love us more. And that's a solution they're having in their head. They're not looking at working at themselves, that we will become better, we will take care of our father more, that he will love us. We'll just get rid of Yusuf. Right? Not working at themselves, but working at the situation. Right? Now start kind of noticing these things, or write them down. This is the psyche now. Not working at themselves, but working at situation. How to get rid of the situation. Whatever is bothering them, they're working at the situation, not working at themselves. A speaker among them said, do not kill Yusuf, but throw him into the bottom of the well. Some travelers will pick him up if you do something. Right? So one of them, and this is one of the oldest brothers, his name was Judah. And this is where Jews come from. The oldest brother Judah was the one who suggested, don't kill him, just put him in the well. Throw him in the well, and then, somebody will pick him up. They said, O our father, why do you not entrust us with Yusuf, while indeed we are to him sincere counselor? So these sons are going to the father, and they're beginning their conversation like that. Why don't you trust us with Yusuf? Because they knew that he didn't trust them with Yusuf. Right? The guilty conscious conversation, beginning with that. Why don't you trust us with Yusuf? And while indeed we are to him sincere counselors, send him with us tomorrow, that he may eat well and play. So we're going for a picnic, just send him with us. And indeed we will be his guardians. Yaqub alayhi salam said, indeed it saddens me that you should take him, and I fear that a wolf would eat him while you are of him unaware. They said, if a wolf should eat him while we are a strong clan, indeed we would then be losers. Right? So they're building their case. Don't worry about this. We're 10 of us. Why would we lose him? Why would a wolf eat him? So when they took him out and agreed to put him into the bottom of the well, but we inspired to him, that is, Yusuf as was told, you will surely inform them someday. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ لَتُنَبِّئُهُمْ بِأَمْرِهِمْ هَذَا وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. You will surely inform them someday about this affairs of theirs, while they do not perceive your identity. So when Yusuf al-Islam was being thrown into the well, he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that point, and he was a boy of like 9-10-year-old. That's how young he was, 9 and 10. Right? His brothers throw him in the well. At that time, Allah is telling Allah is revealing to him that a day will come when you will be telling your brothers about what they did. Right? He's about 9-10. And how old will he be when that day will come, when he will be telling his brothers of what they did? He's probably in his 30s or 40s. This is a span of 3 decades in between. And Allah is telling him that you will come out, you will live, you will survive this. Right? But it's going to take a long time for that to happen. So with Yusuf al-Islam's story, it begins with patience, it ends with patience, it's full of patience, its duration is patience. That's all it is. And that's all you and I have to learn from this story. Patience. It's how they say patience is the key to success? It is. And we don't have it in our lives, including myself. Please never think that because I'm teaching this, I'm a patient person. I'm not a patient person. This is something that I cry to Allah to give me patience. I don't have it as yet. And the hadith says, Man yatasabbar fasabbirhu. someone who does patience is given patience. Right? Because when I started searching into this, because I know I lack patience a lot, so I started searching, like, how do I get it? And this hadith came up. Whoever is patient will be given patience. So I have to do it. To get it, I gotta do it. Not blame the situation. That's what the brothers did. Don't look at the situation. Look at yourself. Gotta change myself. And then they put him in the well, and then they came to their father at night weeping. They said, "Oh, our father, indeed we went racing each other and left Yusuf with our possession, and a wolf ate him. But you would not believe us, even if we were truthful." Right? So before their father saying something, they say, "You wouldn't believe us. We know you wouldn't believe us." Right? These are people who are lying, and they know they're liars. And their father knows that they're lying. And they brought upon his shirt false blood. Yaqub alayhi salam said, "Rather, your souls have enticed you to something." He knew that. Right? He said, your souls have enticed you to do something bad. And so patience is most fitting. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. And Allah is the one sought for help against which you describe. Because it's the shirt that they showed to Yaqub alayhi salam, it was stained with blood, but it wasn't torn. So Yaqub alayhi salam knew they were lying. Because if a wolf eats somebody, right, the shirt would be torn. The shirt wasn't torn, it was just blood stained. That's it. So Yaqub alayhi salam gives a very dignified answer, right? He knows he cannot do anything. Yusuf alayhi salam is gone. They did what they did with him. He has no idea. But he says, "Okay, fasabrun jamilun." But patience is the only thing I can do, right? So sometimes we use patience as like this is the last resort. This is what it seems like here, right? I can't do anything else, so it's patience. This is the first instant. Patience at first instant. They're telling him something, he can't do anything about it. He says, "Okay, fasabrun jamilun." Beautiful patience. That's what I'll do. And Allah is one sought for help against that which you describe. And there came a company of travelers. Then they sent their water drawer, and he let down his bucket, and he said, "Good news, here is a boy." And they concealed him, taking him as merchandise, and Allah was knowing of what they did. So they, a caravan passed by. In those days, again, age of slavery, put down the bucket in the bell. Yusuf alayhi salam climbs in the bucket. He's coming out. What's going on? Who's planning all of that? Allah is planning all of it. Right? That a caravan has to pass by. Yusuf alayhi salam would be in that bucket. He would be coming out in that bucket, and people are happy. "Oh, hey, we found a boy. We can sell him. We'll get money." They sold him for a reduced price, a few dirhams. They say they sold Yusuf alayhi salam for 20 dirhams. Imagine 20 dirhams. This is the prophet of Allah. It's such a beautiful. And they say that Yusuf alayhi salam was a beautiful prophet, the most beautiful prophet for Yusuf alayhi salam. Right? So they say 50% of the beauty of the world belonged to him, and 50% is the rest of the world. Imagine how beautiful he is. So beautiful. And 20 dirhams. And they were concerning him of those content with little. I forwarded this note by Ibn Qayyim the other day. I don't know, I forwarded it too. Maybe I should forward it here in the Journey of Quran group as well. Which is basically talking about, do not value yourself by how other people value you. Don't judge your worth by how other people view you. Right? These people didn't know the worth of Yusuf alayhi salam. So they sold him for 20 dirhams. They didn't know what they had. Right? So just 20 dirham. The people of Makkah didn't know what they were doing to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How he was so sincere to them, and what they were doing to him. Right? We can never judge our worth, and sometimes we want that from people, right? We want that recognition. We want that worth. Especially the people closest to us. Family. Especially with family, we want it. We need it. But it's best not to do that, because Allah is the one who can tell us what our worth is. Right? So we got to work at ourselves. My own character, my own deeds, my own actions. And they were concerning him of those content with little. And the one from Egypt who bought him said to his wife, "Make his residence comfortable. Perhaps he will benefit us, or we will adopt him as a son," because he looked like coming from a good family. If there are many kids playing in the park and you're looking at them, you can see, oh, this looks like a kid who's coming from a good family. And someone's like, nah, you can see that, the social class is different. So he said he looks like a boy from a good family. So maybe he will benefit us, or we adopt him as a son. And thus we established Yusuf in the land, that we might teach him the interpretation of events, that is dreams, and Allah is predominant over his affair, but most of the people do not know. So here is a small village boy moving to a big city. And most of the prophets did that actually. Rasul also came from a small town to a big city, and prophets are made to do that. Urban life teaches us lots of things that rural life may not. Right? So it happens. These migrations do take place. Ayah number 22. And when he, that is Yusuf alayhi salam, reached maturity, we gave him judgment and knowledge. Hukman wa ilman. And thus we reward the doers of good. وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And this is the end that you will see this ayah and this part of the ayah being repeated in the surah. وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. A lot of ayahs will be coming at the end with muhsinin, and that is what Yusuf alayhi salam was. He was a muhsin, which is like the prime to which you and I can get to. My first level is that of a Muslim, the one who submits. Just accept what Allah says and I just do it. There is a level of mu'min, the level of iman. I don't just do things, I don't just submit, but I believe in it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm more motivated, right? And then comes the highest level, which is the level of ihsan, muhsin. And what is that level? That level is that whatever I do it with the thought that I am looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the level of ihsan. When the Sahaba were told this, that ihsan is basically whatever you're doing as if you're looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the first natural reaction of Sahaba was, but I can't look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't see Allah. How can I imagine that? Right? Natural question. It's a normal question. So Rasulullah said, okay, maybe you can't see him, but he's looking at you. He can see you. Right? That's the level of ihsan. That I am doing everything that I do in my life knowing that Allah is looking at me. And that's a very basic, simple definition of taqwa as well. Right? Taqwa in general is protecting yourself from bad. Don't do bad, right? But a simple way of me and you understanding taqwa is consciousness. Allah is looking at me. Ayah number 23. And she in whose house he was sought to seduce him. She closed the doors and said, come you. He said, I seek the refuge of Allah. Indeed, he is my master who has made good my residence. Indeed, wrongdoers will not succeed. So when he said, Innahu Rabbi ahsana mathwa, either he was saying that this master, he's the one who brought me into your home, right? He gives me food and a place to live. How can I do that? Or he's talking about that, I seek refuge in God, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He brought me to this place. And he certainly determined to seduce him, and he would have inclined to her had he not seen the proof that is the sign of his Lord. And thus it was that we should avert from him evil and immorality. Indeed, he was of our chosen servants. It comes in a hadith of Rasulullah that 7 people who will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of them will be those who got seduced by a young lady and the person was able to say no. Right? So in this, again, living in this society, this is something that we see, which is rampant, it's common, it's out there. May Allah protect our kids from getting involved in any of this. And they both raced to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back, and they found her husband at the door. So as this was going on, and Yusuf was trying to escape and opening the door, the master of the house, he was just standing right there. He said, what is the recompense of one who intend evil for your wife? Now she completely switches the picture. She was coming after him. Now he's saying, no, he was the one who was coming after me. But that he be imprisoned or a painful punishment. Yusuf alayhi salam said, it was she who sought to seduce me, and a witness from her family testified, if his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is of the liars. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is of the truthful. Right? So now like a small court is coming out. So when he, that is her husband, saw his shirt from the back, he said, indeed, it is one of your women's plan. Indeed, your plan is great, that is vehement. Yusuf alayhi salam ignored this. And he told Yusuf alayhi salam, Yusuf ignored this. And my wife asked forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were of the sinful. And the women in the city said, and this is how some of us talk about the atmosphere of Egyptian society, the high aristocracy of the Egyptian society. Yes, the women were into these things. And then there are other women of the higher class, they're talking about this now because this news spreads out, right? And the women are talking about this. And women in the city said, the wife of Al-Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave boy. He has impassioned her with love. Indeed, we see her to be in clear error. So when she heard of their scheming, she sent for them and prepared for them a banquet and gave each one of them a knife and said to Yusuf, "Come out before them." And when they saw him, they greatly admired him and cut their hands and said, "Perfect is Allah. This is a man. This is not a man. This is none but a noble angel." Because he was so beautiful. Yusuf was so beautiful that when the women saw him, he's like, "This is not a man. This is an angel." And then they understood why the wife of Aziz was the way that she had become. She said, "That is the one about whom you blame me. And I certainly sought to seduce him, but he firmly refused. And if he will not do what I ordered him, he will surely be imprisoned and will be of those debased." SubhanAllah. So she's adamant that that I'm not wrong. He's the one who's wrong. And if he doesn't agree to what I want to do, then he will be imprisoned. So Yusuf alayhi salam said, "My Lord, qala rabbi sijnu ahabbu ilayya mimma yad'unani ilay." My Lord, prison is more to my liking than that to which they invite me. And if you do not avert from me their plan, I might incline towards them and thus be of the ignorant. So Yusuf alayhi salam is basically accepting the fact that, I'm a human being. I can make mistakes. So if you will not protect me, I may incline to do this too. Right? So that is why I prefer to be in prison. You know how there's a hadith that talks about that a time will come when a believer would want to live in a jungle, right? Because there's so much fitna around, then he wants to protect himself from all the fitna and he would want to live in a jungle. However, this is not jungle time yet. Inshallah, there's some time in it. You and I can still live in the city, can still do good, inshallah, can still do the work of Islah if we can, inshallah. Because when we do Islah for everybody around us, my family, me and my will be protected itself. When I just focus on my family, I will keep on fighting the environment. But if I focus on my environment, me, myself, and my family will be protected automatically. Right? Inshallah. However, that's what Yusuf as-salam said, "Okay, prison is more to my liking than to which they invite me. And if you do not avert from me their plan, I might incline towards them and thus be of the ignorant." Right? So even a prophet is saying, I can do wrong too. I can incline towards it too because I am a human being. So his Lord responded to him and averted from him their plan. Indeed, he is the hearing, the knowing. And how did Allah avert the plan? By sending him to the prison. That's the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just look at this. Look at how the plan is. Apparently, if you look at it, everything is going in the wrong direction for Yusuf alayhi salam. Right? Taken by the brothers, put in the well, taken by people a caravan and then being sold for a very petty price. Right? And then he's living fine, he's doing good, and then this incident happens with the wife, and then he's imprisoned. And this is all the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Yusuf alayhi salam. Apparently everything is going in the wrong direction for him. But this is how Allah is planning. Then it appeared to them after they had seen the signs that he, that is Al-Aziz, should surely imprison him for a time. And there entered the prison with him 2 young men. One of them said, "Indeed, I have seen myself in a dream pressing wine." The other said, "Indeed, I have seen myself carrying upon my head some bread from which the birds were eating. Inform us of its interpretation. Indeed, we see you to be of those who do good. Inna naraka minal muhsinin." Right? We see you. So people who were with him in the prison could see. You know how you can recognize people? Character comes out. This is what a muhsin is. Their character, no matter where they are. He's in a prison. He's surrounded by criminals. Right? But yet they can recognize the character of Yusuf alayhi salam. We see you as the one who is a muhsin. He said, "You will not receive food that is provided to you except that I will inform you of its interpretation before it comes to you." So he's basically taking this as dawah opportunity. It's like, okay, the food is coming to you, and when it comes to you, before that, I will tell you of something, the interpretation. That is from what my Lord has taught me. Indeed, I have left the religion of a people who do not believe in Allah, and they are in the hereafter disbelievers. So people are asking about the interpretation, and Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, okay, I will give you the interpretation, I will tell you, but listen to one more thing that I'm about to tell you. I have followed the religion of my fathers, Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub alayhi salam, and it was not for us to associate anything with Allah. That is from the favor of Allah upon us and upon the people. But most of the people are not grateful. So he's giving them da'wah here. O my two companions of prison, are separate lords better, or Allah the one, the prevailing? So he's telling them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I'll tell you the interpretation, but listen to my message. Because you trust me now, his reputation is built with these people, so he's giving them dawah here. You worship not besides him except mere names. You have named them, you and your fathers, for which Allah has sent down no evidence. Legislation is not but for Allah. He has commanded that you worship not except him. That is the correct religion, but most of the people do not know. O the two companions of the prison, as for one of you, he will give drink to his masters of wine, but as for the other, he will be crucified, and the birds will eat from his head. The matter has been decreed about which you both inquire. And he said to the one whom he knew would go free. So he didn't tell them what's the end of which one. He just gives the general interpretation. One of them will serve wine to your master, and one of them will be crucified. But he doesn't tell them, you're going to serve the wine and you're going to serve the bread. You're going to die and you won't die. He doesn't tell them that. He just gives the interpretation in general. And then he said to the one whom he knew would go free. He knew which one would go free. He said, mention me before your master. But Shaitan made him forget the mention to his master. And he, that is Yusuf alayhi salam, remained in prison several years. So some of the ulama write this, that because he asked the person to help, right? He asked the person, a human being, to tell the master, go tell the master that, just remember the case of Yusuf alayhi salam, because I've been here for so long, right? So Shaitan made that person forget. Right? And that's, it just said that Yusuf alayhi salam was being taught never to ask a human being for help. Always ask Allah for help. Right? But that was a prophet who was being said. And then some of us will say it. And subsequently the king said, indeed, I have seen in a dream. So now Allah is making the king see a dream. He teaches Yusuf alayhi salam the interpretation of dreams, and now he's giving the king to see a dream. He says, indeed, I have seen in a dream 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 lean cows, and 7 green spikes of grain and others that were dry. O eminent ones, explain to me my vision, if you should interpret visions. Okay, now this is again, if you see the planning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, it is but a mixture of false dreams, and we are not learned in the interpretation of dreams. But the one who was freed and remembered after a time said, I will inform you of its interpretation, so send me forth. He said, oh, yeah, I know somebody who interpret dreams, because he remembered the one who was freed. I will inform you of its interpretation, so send me forth. He said, Yusuf, O man of truth, explain to us about 7 fat cows eaten by 7 lean ones, and 7 green spikes of grain and others that were dry, that I may return to the people, that is the king and his court. Perhaps they will know about you. Yusuf alayhi salam said, you will plant for 7 years consecutively, and what you harvest, leave in its spikes, except a little from which you will eat. Then will come after that 7 difficult years, which will consume what you advance, that is safe for them, except a little from which you will store. Basically, he told them that for 7 years you will have a lot of grain, a lot of crops will come up, and for the next 7 years you will have nothing. Right? You have no crops and nothing. A famine, basically a drought, will come. So he gave them the interpretation, and he gave them a solution as well. He said, so when the crops are green and everything is ripe, and there's no problem with the water or anything, then you save for the next 7 years. So he gave the interpretation of the dream, and he gave the solution to the dream. Then will come after that a year in which the people will be given rain, and in which they will press olives and grapes. And the king said, bring him to me, because the king recognized a person who can give a solution to this must be a good man. So he said, bring him to me. But when the messenger came to him, Yusuf alayhi salam said, return to your master and ask him, what is the case of the women who cut their hands? Indeed, my Lord is knowing of their plan. Because Yusuf alayhi salam just didn't want to come out. Okay, yeah, he's telling me to come out, I'll come out. He said, no. My reputation, my impression should be a clear-cut one, that this person was rid of any blame that he had, so I will come out as an innocent man. Said the king to the women, what was your condition when you sought to seduce Yusuf? They said, perfect is Allah. We know about him no evil. The wife of Al-Aziz said, now the truth has become evident. It was I who sought to seduce him, and indeed he is of the truthful. So she basically told everybody. That is so he, that is Al-Aziz, will know that I did not betray him in his absence, and that Allah does not guide the plan of betrayers. and I do not acquit myself. Indeed, the soul is a persistent enjoiner of evil, except those upon which my Lord has mercy. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. Okay, we'll end here, inshallah. The juz has ended too. So that we will continue the story, inshallah, tomorrow. So that's the next part of the story, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.